We're live, Megan.
Yay!
Yay! Hi, everybody. Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders. This week it's a special week because we're going to introduce you. Well, we've introduced you to the promotions team before, but it's always a pleasure when I get to introduce my friend and colleague, Megan Stan. I almost said Megan Stan. Megan Span back to the show. Hi,
Thank you,
Megan
thank you.
Span.
Hi, how are you
Hi.
doing?
I'm good. Little seasonal allergies, but other than that, we're good. How are
Okay.
you doing?
I'm doing good. I have my fur babies are locked up and they like to sing the song of their people. So if they start barking,
Yeah.
everybody just relax. I'll probably disappear in a panic to get them quiet, but I do have two small dogs who bark at everything. So just an FYI.
And that is the fun of doing these things live, is it not?
Yes.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, Megan is our promotions coordinator, our promotions queen, who handles all things promotions and merchandising and all of that. So today, speaking of fur babies, mine's having a conniption over there in the corner, but we'll just block her out. So my goal for this conversation here is to kind of talk about the promotions team, especially for those who don't know what Drafted Digital is doing for them beyond ebook publishing or just book publishing and book distribution.
Right.
There's a lot that's going on behind the scenes to get your books into the hands of more readers and in front of the merchandising managers at our retail partners and library partners globally.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to talk about that, what you do. And then the second goal I have is to inform our viewers of some of the draft digital tools, some of the awesome tools that we have that they may not even be aware of, Megan, because there are so many times, as you know too, we go to conferences, they're like, what? Authors are like, I didn't know you had that tool.
They're blown
So we're
away.
just
We have a lot of tools.
Totally. So we're just kind of refresh everybody out there about some of that stuff. And of course, the goal of this conversation is just to make y'all aware of some of the things that we're doing for you behind the scenes and how you can get involved in some of these promotional opportunities that we have, and to make sure that you're aware of all of the different tools. And the ultimate goal, of course, is to help y'all sell more books.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, Megan, tell me about the promotions team. Why does Drafted Digital have a promotions team in the first place, and why did we bring you on?
Okay, well, you kind of touched on some of it. Our job is to help authors promote their books, and so that
Hmm.
is that is what I do. My job is to maintain the opportunities and relationships that we already have, as well
Uh-huh.
as foster new ones, so that we can look for more opportunities, and we have a lot of them, not just ones that are consistent. We're also brainstorming and creating new ones. So the whole point and purpose of my job is to promote books
Okay.
and on a smaller level or a smaller or larger level, not just the books that are already at the top.
Hmm.
Personally, I made it part of my goal when I was hired and interviewed to ask about how we um, promote diverse books. Is there
Okay.
a set focus on that? So that's a large part of my platform as well, is not just
Nice.
getting books at the top, but also saying, okay, who's a mid-list author who may not have an opportunity, and making sure that we can give opportunities to more people.
Yeah, you bubble up those emerging authors.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, that's good. So when you talk about some of these promotions that you're looking for, in what channels are you seeking these promotions? How does it work exactly for the uninitiated? Like, who are you talking to? Who are you trying to
Um,
get these promotions with?
well, it depends. And
Okay.
and I hate that answer, but everything that I
No.
do, the answer is kind of, well, it depends. All of our partners in some capacity have something. Now, it may not
Right.
always be as easily accessible, or they're working on things, but we do a lot of promotions with Apple. Apple, I think, is our leading retailer right now as far as what they offer in terms of the available promotions. I know last year we had 43 promotions with Apple alone,
Just Apple alone.
with just
All right.
Apple alone. On top of, with that came from 88 promotions, 43 of them were Apple. So almost
Okay.
half.
Wow.
And we
Wow.
do
So
a lot
Apple
with
is,
libraries too. We're trying to do more with libraries.
yeah.
But Apple is kind of leading the charge right now.
All right. Well, let's talk about Apple a little bit more then.
Okay.
So here they are. They, of course, they're welcoming indie authors, indie books into their bookstore, but they're also welcoming indie authors into these promotions that are some of these promotions. Indie authors are landing on these virtual store shelves right alongside traditional authors.
Mm-hmm.
Are they not?
Yeah, they are. And that's intentional. A person like me, a person like a merchandising representative at Apple, we work together. We're not in competition with our partners. We're looking for ways to work together because a win for them is a win for us, especially if it's
Absolutely.
one of our authors. And sometimes we have conversations, it's not one of our authors, but we're trying to help authors collectively come up with ideas and promotions that we can use to help them out. Like I said, Apple is a large one. Now, there are some different caveats with Apple. As many as we get as far as promotional opportunities, they're very selective. They are very selective, but it's not hard to get an Apple promotion if you kind of check all of the boxes. And you should do this with all of the promotions.
Let's talk about that a little bit, and
Okay,
that
yeah.
selectivity and kind of, what does it take for an author to convince a merchandising manager at a store like Apple? Let's say especially Apple because they're a bit
Okay.
more picky, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So how can an author set themselves up for success?
There are three things that I tell authors, no matter whether it's Apple, whether it's the Smashwords store, whether it's one of our other partners, there are three top things that you need to do no matter what. That's your research. Do your research. Yes, I am a resource, but there are just so many things that are out there for our authors right there at their fingertips that they don't have to wait on an answer from. So anytime
Okay,
you
I'm going to pull on
see,
that string a little bit. So what do you mean by
okay,
this research?
by research, what I mean is if you go look right now on iBooks,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you are seeing on the front page, and you can go on Apple, you can go on Barnes and Nobles, you can go on Kobo, whatever you are seeing like on that front page, most of the time that is curated either by an algorithm or a person.
Mm-hmm.
So look at those books because they're on the front page or at the top of the shelves for a reason. So some of those are specialty shelves where it may just be romance. If you are a romance author, look at your cover, look at your blurb, your metadata, your blurb, look at everything else that's on the front page and how does your book compare? That's the easiest way I feel to research things. What's already on the front, that's where I want to be. How am I aligned? So you don't have to spend money on a bunch of programs trying to analyze. Just look at it and see how your book compares.
Yeah, I love that. One of the examples I give when I give presentations, I had this this one particular slide where I'm talking about book covers, and my advice to authors is always the same. It kind of exactly aligns with what you're saying. Is that check out like the bestseller lists in your genre.
Yes.
And check out those cover images, and then blow it up on your desktop, and then get your cover image, shrink it down, like shrink down just the image of your ebook cover, let's say, and then drag it onto that screen, and then see if it compares head to head with the cover images of the bestsellers in your genre. And then, especially if it's your draft cover art,
right,
and be honest with yourself. If it doesn't compare, then go back to the drawing board or go back to your artist and just iterate until you get it to that level, because those readers out there, they're going to make a decision in a split second. And same thing with the merchandising managers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So on top of your research, the other tip I have is be prepared. There's, I have promos that come out and the author is like, oh, I just pushed the button and I wasn't ready yet. You can do that, but do you really want to start off something like this on the wrong foot? They get so excited when they see the emails, like, I'm just going to push the button. And it's just like,
what's the worst that can happen?
You definitely want to make sure that you're prepared and that you have your all of your ducks in a row to make sure you're ready to jump on these opportunities when they come around. And please don't think like it's the sinking ship you have to jump on. Like, no, they come back around. So if you're not ready this time, just make sure you're prepared for the next time, for sure.
Okay.
And then one more tip,
yeah,
and then we can definitely move on to something else. The last tip is check your emails. I have partners reaching out to me all the time. Hey, Megan, we see that so-and-so author publishes, uses your services. Can you reach out to them for this amazing opportunity? And then I do, and then it's crickets. And then like, hey, what happened to this author we want to put on the front page? And I'm like, well, they didn't check their email. We end up in spam. So make sure you're checking your emails frequently, because you could be missing an opportunity that's out there.
Wow. Okay. I was going to ask you about like what are some of the biggest mistakes you see from authors when it comes to promotions. Yeah, that is definitely a big one out there for sure.
That's a big one. And simply, like I said, being overzealous with those promotional opportunities. I get a lot of button pressers where they just see that it's a promo. I'm going to push the button. Again, nothing's going to happen to you. I'm not going to put you on a naughty list, but it does make it a lot more difficult when I'm kind of sourcing through things that don't align. So I would say anytime you see a promotion, first look at it. Can I make my book available for these dates? Is my book right for this promotion? And by right, does it fit the genre? Sometimes I get emails of people saying my book wasn't even eligible. Why not? It's for adult romance and you have young adult. So it could be something as simple as that. Or sometimes people do forget who and how they publish. So if you publish direct with Apple, with Kobo, I don't have that information. And so your book will not show up as being eligible. So some of it is just small things to where I feel like if people kind of slow down, the information is there and they'll be able to see all of the information that they need to know if this is the best opportunity for them.
Perfect. And when in doubt, they can email you.
Absolutely. Right? They can email me. Boom, right there. And I'm the one responding. So please know that I'm a real person.
No, you're not. You're like, I can tell, like, sometimes you're kind of,
Yeah, it's really me. And I'm the one who is personally responding. So it doesn't go to a team unless it's something that's outside my scope. It's me answering. So a little bit of grace and a lot of polite goes a long way.
Yes,
and give me as much information as possible so that I can help you that right then, and we don't have to have a lot of back and forth. So if there's an issue, definitely give me as much information and I'm going to give you an answer.
Okay. And so before Lexi or Alyssa virtually kick me in the shin, I'm going to read this email out loud so that our listeners.
Okay.
And that is promotions@draft2digital.com. That is the email link that will go to Megan, and she reads all of them.
I do.
So yeah, again, if you have any questions or you're kind of on the fence of like, is this promotion right for my books? She will answer your questions about that. Are you working on any promotions right now, Megan? Or do you have any upcoming that folks should know about?
I do, actually. I have quite a few. I know, I can't go into detail with all of them because not all of our retailers like that. That's why you need to be on the email list, because I can't post or talk about everything. But if you're on our email list, you will definitely get everything.
Okay. So let's talk about the email list for a second. So the email list she's talking about, you can sign up for it right here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is extremely important.
Yes.
So it is D2D.tips, that's TIPS /D2D promo form. Go there and you can, what can you do at that promo form, Megan?
Okay, with this form, again, I'm the person that's handling this form. So when you fill it out, I'm the one that's going through and making sure everything is where it needs to be. There's two different things that need to occur on this form. You can, one, use it as many times as you want to tell me about anything that's bookish. I have a new release. This release is on sale. I just bundled these for the very first time ever in life. This book just won an award. And then I will tell you at the end what I do with that information.
Okay.
The second thing is you use that form to notify me that you want to participate in the promotions. And you only have to do that portion once. So one full submission for that puts you on the list. And then you can use it as many times after that to tell me about any book news. Now, I use that information when you tell me your bookish news to tell our partners. Sometimes they don't always have a sale or promo going on. Like I said, Apple is our leading partner. I do have several promos coming up with Apple, the details of which you'll have to be on the list to find out.
Yeah, Beth.
Yeah, get on our list. And then Kobo, I have some things for Kobo coming up. So to know more details about the when, the where, what's it for, please be on the list so that you don't miss those details, because the opportunities are there. And these are free opportunities, might I add. So we don't charge anything to do this. This is simply part of my job to facilitate all of this for everybody.
Part of our job here, the part of Drafted Digital earning its 10%. It's
Absolutely.
not just about book publication and book distribution. We have like what, 2 full-time employees who are dedicated to getting your books into the hands of more readers, into the hands of the merchandising managers at a retail and library partners. So earn that 10%. And once again, there is the link for that form.
Yes.
One thing I will say with this form, I've noticed, at least for myself, maybe it's just because I'm weird, but I've noticed that sometimes when I'm logged into my Drafted Digital account and then I click on that link or I add it in another tab, I have to log in again. And maybe that's just me. So if that happens to you, then just log in again and you'll have access to the form. Keep the form up there for a second.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got more coming up. What about, can you recall, I remember last year we had a talk like this and Mark Leslie was on with us and we talked about a success story that one of our authors had at Hoopla, one of our library partners. Are there any success, why can't I talk today? Are there any success stories that you can share that you recall with an author who submitted a book for a promo, either at a retail or one of our library partners?
Absolutely. A couple that are more recent. Apple does a lot of features that aren't like just strictly promo related. So they have series starters. They have the editorial picks. They have a few evergreen type of promos. And when I say evergreen, I mean they have them on a rolling basis. So you don't have to wait to receive an invitation for those. And we have a lot of authors who their series gets featured on that front page of Apple. We have some partnerships in the works and working on more with our library partners, Overdrive being one. We did have I believe it was a cookbook. They have a book club thing going. And so sometimes they reach out and say, hey, this author's been selected for this book club. These are the terms. Does that sound good? So there are, like I said, there's opportunities out there. And then I'm crafting some of my own with the Smashwords store. So that is a little feather in the cap moment that I think is really fun, that I have personal control over with the Smashwords.
Tell me about this stuff. I'm the marketing guy. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So if you go to Smashwords, prior to the facelift moment, but if you look on that front page right now, if you look on the front page, there's different shelves, different carousels. Yeah. Those are created by the algorithm, meaning a book has to meet certain thresholds to be on that front page. But I have access to be able to put special things on the front page as well. And I do that sometimes just on a whim, just because I want to. Sometimes we have a coordinated effort of different sales coming up. We have one coming up that we'll talk about in more detail. But I can do fun things with that front page that it's just me. So sometimes, like I said, I don't have to wait on an opportunity. I can create one.
I love it. So one thing I want to mention too, in case, because you talked about it, but I just want to like underscore it, and that it has to do with the promotions form. And like, I want to ensure that our authors know that you don't have to wait for us to contact you to say that, hey, Apple's got this promotion coming up next month, or Barnes & Noble or Kobo. Tell us if you have something that's special or unique that's coming up that either you're doing for yourself, maybe it's book 5, 6, or whatever it is in your series. If you have a series that's performing really well, maybe you have a book that's upcoming on pre-order. Maybe you're doing an anthology or a box set with a bunch of author friends that you think we should know about. You can tell us all of this stuff. And Megan told me before, she said, don't worry about not giving me enough information. Err on the side of providing too much information, because the more information she has, the more that just makes it easier for her to talk to the merchandising managers at the retailers. And there
Yeah.
goes my crazy dog.
Absolutely, absolutely. I get pitches all the time, but you can cut down on a lot of back and forth and confusion when you provide me the information, the details, the pertinent ones. If you tell me, well, I have a book and it's about cats. Okay, what else about that? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's about cats who go on adventures, and me and 5 other authors, we also have books and we want to make a collection. And what can you do? That's a little bit more that I can then take and say, hey, Apple, I already have these authors who are doing this on their own. How can we support them?
You could even do like a special cat shelf at the Smashwords store.
Yeah, I could.
If you wanted to. That's power, Megan.
It is, and it's so much fun.
Don't abuse that. I want some of that. All right. Guillaume asks, do you promote erotica? My main genre is erotic comedy. That is funny erotica, which is only on sale for Smashwords. So anybody else out there, dabbling in the mainstream erotica and having promotions geared toward mainstream erotica?
Not so much with our partners, but again, that's why I have access to push buttons on the Smashwords store.
Yeah.
But I do want to emphasize mainstream. So there are just different rules in place. It's not just because we're mean and we don't like erotica. There are rules and there are guidelines that we have to follow. So people who will see erotica are people who have opted in to see it, that it's not blocked from their platform. So if you go to the front page and you have not selected that you do want to see erotica, you may not see said shelf, but we have no rules against promoting the mainstream erotica on Smashwords.
Yeah. And if you're an erotica author, make sure that you click all the boxes. If we're asking you questions about your genre, what your book contains, make sure you click all those boxes. Those boxes are there to help you get your books distributed beyond Smashwords into some of the other retailers as well. All right. And, there it is. Okay. I want to make sure I didn't miss, thought that there was a follow-up question, but all right, I missed it. Now you talked about some upcoming retail opportunities. Any upcoming library opportunities? Maybe you mentioned it, but.
None on the docket, like a specific thing, but again, that doesn't mean very much because I pitch to them all the time. So there will be some coming out probably within the next 2 weeks. And this is just for informational purposes for me, because again, some of our partners, libraries included, have evergreen promos. So they're always looking for books that promote diversity, stuff about the environment or whatever. So some of those more wide options are out there, and I do solicit for those sometimes too.
Okay. Do they tend to follow some of the holiday-ish or theme-ish promos for like month to month? Like
they're huge on themes. And again, still same thing. You don't have to wait for me to email a theme. You can email me. A group of us got together, like I said, and pitch this to a library. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you have all of the information available so that I have something to pitch. But again, even with libraries, you don't have to wait on an opportunity.
I love it. Okay, that's like a theme. I want everybody to understand, like, you do not have to wait for us to contact you if there's something you want to participate in. Even if you know if whoops, Lexi, it really feels like every year we have more promotions and they keep getting more successful.
Yes.
Lexi says, I clicked on that on accident, but it's true. I did. Whoops.
True and important, and we're growing and doing more, not just with our partners on this, like I said, the Smashwords store as well. And even though we have our own store, we're still not in competition with anybody. And I think that's what I really love about working at Draft Digital. It does not feel like we're in a rat race to get anything specific. The whole thing about Draft Digital is to help authors genuinely. And I'm an author. I used Draft Digital before I started working here. I've only been working here like the last 2 years. I made 2 years last month. So I've loved Draft Digital and Smashwords. I've used Smashwords for the last 10 years or so. So the things that we do in the foundation of the company, I feel like all kind of feed into each other, and that is helping the author.
100%. 100%. With that, let's segue into some of the tools that we haven't talked about. So we talked about the promotions form, but let's talk about some of the specific tools that some of our authors may not be aware of. When we've got Coupon Manager, it's Coupon Manager at both Smashwords and Draft Digital, pre-orders, Smashwords pre-sales. There's a Draft Digital promotional pricing tool. Which one? Do you want to talk about any of those?
Oh my
For
goodness.
all of them, I'll jump
we could
in.
have a whole other live just talking about tools.
I know. I was keeping my eye on the clock. I'm like, oh, you're a little late, Jim, but
yeah, I can touch on all of them briefly and explain like what they are, what they do, and why they are important. And extra emphasis on the fact that these are free. These are free tools. And for some of them, you don't even have to be distributing through Draft Digital to use said tool. Books to read. That's our UBL, Universal Book Link tool. On that same tool page, you will also find author pages. And so while author pages should not replace your author website, if you are just starting out and you just want something quick, it's easy. You can put your picture, a cute little bio, all of your books linked. And again, you don't have to use Draft Digital to use that. It's a free service. Same thing with Books to Read. We are trying to give all of these things a little bit more extra love and let authors know that they can use them. So oftentimes you may get an email back from a retailer, let's say, that says this has been denied distribution because of a competitor link. And what competitor link? I don't know what you're talking about. Competitor links is anything that's not their link. So Amazon does not want to see links that belong to Apple. Apple does not want to see links that belong to Barnes and Noble. Same across the board. To avoid that, you want to use a universal book link, so like a shortened link. And we have a tool. You just plug in your book, and it can be from any of the platforms. It searches for your book's listing everywhere else, and it creates a landing page so that if you use this one link, people can use that link to go and see their favorite retailer and make their own selection. So you're kind of bypassing that rule and also being able to list your book so that your readers can get to them.
So that's just one link that they need that goes everywhere where their book's available.
One link. It shortens it for you. You can use the link that it generates, or if you're signed in, you can customize it. So you have options.
And it geolocates too, correct?
Correct.
Nice. Okay.
And then some of the other tools that you mentioned, the Coupon Manager, the Price Manager, those are so fun because as an author, we're putting the power back into your hands. So with the coupon, again, don't have to wait on me to run a promo or have a sale. You can make your own coupon. You can send it out to your newsletter, your Facebook group, and say, hey, I have a special sale going on. I want to tell you guys about, use this special code to discount. The fun thing about a coupon is you don't have to discount your book anywhere else. And you're not violating any rules of the different distributors. The other thing would be the pricing tool. I love the pricing tool, especially when it comes to these promotions, because it takes the thought process out of it. You set everything up with the dates, what it's for. The system does it automatically. Our system. So if you are direct with Amazon, if you're direct with Apple, you will have to go on there and manually make changes. But otherwise, you set it up. We push the price out when it's supposed to be whatever sale price it is. And then we set it back to its original, hands off. You can set it and forget it. And you can do this months in advance if you wanted to.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Pre-orders. We also do pre-orders.
Yes, the pre-orders and pre-sales. And people hear those two words and think they're the same.
Totally.
They're not. Pre-orders, you're setting it up, future date. There may or may not be a final file. The people will get it on that future date. Pre-sales are really, really fun because somebody gets it, they're getting the order right then. So you want to make sure that you have a
before the book is available for public
before
sale.
it's available. Correct. So if I have my book set up on a pre-sale, and let's say it technically is not coming out to November, and I have it set up on pre-sale, I can send out something to my newsletter and say, hey, this is on pre-sale. This is how you get it. Send them the link. They are actually able to read that book right then instead of waiting until November. And that can be good if you're trying to, like, you know, build up for reviews. Some of our partners, if the earlier you're ready, the more we can do. Some of our partners, I know Apple for sure does it, that they have the editorial picks. They want your book to be ready, you know, 2 months or so before, where they're reading it early so that they then can support you. And we're doing the same thing. So the sooner you can be available and ready, the more we can do to help you. And pre-sales is a great way to do that.
Okay. I want to kind of step back a little bit in terms of pre-orders, because isn't Apple the only bookstore that counts an ebook pre-order as a full sale?
I don't think so. But again,
I know they used to.
I'm not a rocket scientist on all of those things, so don't take my word for it.
No worries. But I want everybody to understand why pre-orders are so important. And let me just say this, Megan.
Yeah.
The pre-orders are one of the most effective book launch marketing tools that I've seen since we started allowing them to happen back in 2013 at the Smashwords store. They're one of the most effective book launch marketing tools, but they're also one of the most highly underutilized.
Yes.
So check this out. So at the Smashwords store, we're looking at some data from books from last year, from January of 2023 through June of 2023. Out of all the books that were released during that 6-month period, only 16% of those were released as ebook pre-orders. And when we looked at the entire year of sales, of that 16% of books that were listed as ebook pre-orders, they earned 5 times more than all the other books that were listed, that were simply uploaded on release day. So the ebook pre-orders significantly outperformed the books that were uploaded on release day. So if you're thinking about, if you have a book that's coming up in a few weeks, in a few months, get it up as a pre-order.
Absolutely. 100%. And one more thing about pre-orders is I run a lot of reports. That's another part of my job. I'm looking for trends. I'm looking at numbers. I'm looking at titles, and things become familiar. I have a pre-order list. I run several pre-order reports, but I have one that goes out every Monday to a partner. I have a retail partner that we send out on every Friday, and we're growing with this, not just on sales, but like I said, pre-orders as well. The monthly one, I think I sent out a couple of weeks ago, and I send this to all of our partners. So they are aware of what our top sellers are and what pre-orders are coming, so that we can all be prepared on supporting these authors. So definitely utilize pre-orders, because you could hit certain lists as well, and that can help you in future to make your marketing plans as well.
Right, because these pre-orders accumulate over time. When a reader puts down their credit card, what they're doing is they're reserving a copy of that book. And that could be a matter, and they can't read that book for a matter of days, weeks, or even months. But when that book releases, it's like you have this accumulation of up to months worth of sales all hitting on day one. And that is what can cause a spike in your sales rankings and you get you up on one of those lists. All right. Shall we talk about, let's shift gears once again and talk about some of the things that are going on at the Smashwords store.
Okay.
Megan, did you know that the Smashwords store is on track for its 8th consecutive year of year-over-year sales growth?
Wow.
I know. It's bucking a larger overall industry trend in terms of ebook sales. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. And every time we have a sale, it surpasses the record set by the previous sale. So we're really excited about how things have been going over there at the Smashwords store. And on top of that, we have a big sale coming up, right?
We do a huge sale that we're also doing a lot of fun promo things for. So want to make sure you're staying in contact with me and using that form and making sure you're on the list so you don't miss those details.
Right. And speaking of emails, keep your eye on your email box too, because the next sale that's coming up is the massive month-long July summer winter sale. We call it the summer winter sale because we're celebrating summer in the northern hemisphere and we're celebrating winter in the southern hemisphere. And this is a month-long sale. So we're going to be kind of switching around some of the promotions, as Megan alluded to. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. It is always our most successful. Well, I don't want to say it's always the most successful sale of the year, because it seems like every time we have a new sale, that sale becomes the most successful. And then it just keeps growing and growing.
We have to keep topping our sales. Each sale has to be better than the last one.
We do. And that's thanks to the authors, because you guys are doing such a phenomenal job of not just promoting your own books, but promoting the books of your author friends and working together. And all of us are just kind of making this a celebration of indie books and indie reading culture. It's just a lot of fun. It's becoming even more fun.
Yeah. So. And just to kind of add to that, I know people, when you think of being an author, you think of it's kind of a lonely process. It's just you writing.
Yeah.
But I like to think of like your marketing efforts of being collaborative. I do see the people who are the most successful at these sales are the ones who work together. So you can't just sign up for these sales and just hope for the best. You have to actually put effort into sending it out, being in that, and we're looking at those things. I'm looking to see what authors are putting in the effort, because
great point. Great point.
And I think that's important, because this is your business. People are making their livelihood from this. And it says a lot to me. It says a lot to readers when you're taking an active role in not just saying, buy my book, but you're collaborating with other authors. Again, yes, we're trying to reach certain rank and we're all trying to make money, but the competition is doing better than the last sale, making sure that more people can read your book and have access. So that's why I do love when we have these opportunities. Again, you don't have to wait on said opportunity. Let me know. We are going to have special themes during this sale and some more opportunities so that we can help the marketing efforts. But the most successful thing that you can do is to work and advocate for yourself with others within your genre. So don't miss out on that piece of opportunity, especially with this sale coming up. Get together with other authors and see how you all can make this the biggest thing it could be.
Yeah, have fun with it. Experiment. Yeah, that's what we see. If you guys want to do like a box set or some kind of an anthology or anything that's just a little bit outside the norm, then you're not alone. It's not just you out there trying to promote your book. And
yes,
it's hard.
It is, yeah.
It's really hard. Okay. I wonder if we should talk about some of the other things that we have going on, like, the Smashwords store. Every week we are listing a bestseller list. And this is one of the most comprehensive bestseller lists in the industry in terms of indie author books. And every week, our own Mark Leslie the Fave puts together this list with help from Megan in the background. Puts together this list of the top 25 best-selling books. And the one thing that Mark does too is he goes the extra mile. So he lists fiction by not only by unit sales, but also by revenue, because so that you can see it's the whole bank before rank sort of methodology. So you can see how the price impacts unit sales as well. So that's fiction and nonfiction too. So that's listed. That's the via sales at the Smashwords store, but it also takes a snapshot of sales from our global retail partner network as well. That's all added in there. Speaking of bestseller lists, we gather the sales data and we also report it to places like the New York Times, USA Today, For those of you who write science fiction and fantasy, every month, as a matter of fact, I'm almost due to submit my science fiction and fantasy bestseller list to Locus Magazine. Who am I forgetting about? Oh, Publishers Weekly.
Yep.
But they're shifting a little bit. I think they're revamping their bestseller lists. So we're gonna reach out to them and see if they still want these lists or if they're going to refresh that list. One thing that's really cool, Megan, and everybody out there, our new partner, Fable, the huge book club reading app and bookstore Fable, they are now listing. They have a whole shelf dedicated to best-selling indie titles from draft to digital authors. So authors, if you are a bestseller but you're not yet distributing your books, if you haven't opted in to having your books distributed to Fable, make sure that you do that, because Fable is just they're growing really, really quickly. And yes, as a matter of fact, we're even going to have a new cool affiliate partner that we can't talk about today, but stay tuned for next week. They'll be on Self-Publishing Insiders to talk about their cool program and how it can help you expand your reach as well.
And I have one more thing about the reports before we move on.
Please.
If I may. We do get a lot of inquiries from authors who are like, how do I get on this list? Or how do I do this? I do want to say the main thing that you can do to be on these lists, because again, we send those out to all of our partners. We also have one that goes to Fresh Fiction. They make a post, I think, every Tuesday?
That's the one I forgot. Fresh Fiction on Fridays, they announce our top 20 best-selling titles.
Bestsellers.
And then on Mondays, it's the most highly anticipated pre-orders.
Okay, there we go. So we send these lists out to everywhere we can. The way to get the most from these lists, to even be on these lists, is to be consistent. Same thing with the promotions and the opportunities. You can run your business however you want to. But what we are looking for and what happens when we run these lists, we're looking for consistency. So some authors, they like to go wide for like a month and then they stick it in KU. That messes up your eligibility for these lists, because if I send this out to one of our partners and they come looking for it, now all of a sudden it's not available everywhere. And so that kind of throws you out the running. It's not the end of the world, but when authors kind of run their business that way, it kind of makes partners look at it like, well, I don't know how long we will have to be able to make this opportunity worth it. So keep those things in mind when you are making those decisions. If you want to go wide or you want to go to KU, it does have an impact. And so for some people, it's minuscule. They don't care. And that's fine. But just be aware that it can.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. I'm putting together a list and I go to the page. I'm like, oh, this book's been unpublished. Okay, I got that person has to be removed from this list before I send it along. Our buddy Mark is asking a question here. Mark Leslie asks, speaking of top sellers, can you explain how the weekly top selling indie authors report works and how Fable is also reporting on it? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You want to take that one?
Well, I think you did a great job when you explained that Fable is definitely growing. Mark puts a lot of work into that weekly thing.
Does.
Most of my reports aren't on a weekly basis outside of Fresh Fiction. And I do one for Romance Daily News. Those are weekly. And then the rest of my reports I typically run are monthly, but Mark does this one every week. And like you said, it is on the units and it is on based on gross sales. So he gets the nitty gritty of it all.
He does get the nitty gritty.
Yeah, and we have pictures and everything else. So again, you can also use these reports as a research tool. Who is in the top 25? What's their genre? What does their cover look like? All of those things help you, the author, when you're trying to figure out, okay, I'm not on this list, but let me look at these authors who are and how I align with them.
And then also look at like, where is this book ranking on the unit list, best-selling units, versus where that book is ranking on best-selling revenue on the list that's based on best-selling revenue. That's a key piece of research.
Yes.
My favorite thing about the list that Mark puts together is that if there is an author who's on the list who's got enough sales to appear on the list several times, he only takes that author's best-selling book, which enables authors who are emerging to bubble up and have an opportunity to hit the bestseller list as well. What we're trying to do is expose our readers to as many authors, especially those who are up and coming, as possible.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Mark. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. I'm circling down through the comments. Boy, you guys are like super engaged this week. I love it.
Love it.
So appreciate you all being here. Okay, I think we've got to most of them here. We're at time. So how about that? So Megan, thanks again for your help. I'm sorry I'm a little out of it with my whole like allergy thing going on here and coughing and sneezing and just it's kind of icky over here. I won't go into too many details. But for those of you who joined us today, if you could do us a favor, and if you got something out of this episode, if you can like or share it with your author friends and subscribe to the podcast. Subscribing is awesome. We love it because that helps us just get the word out even more and attract industry experts. Finally, also bookmark d2dlive.com because then you can see what the topic and who the guest is going to be for next week. And if you are an aspiring author out there who hasn't yet kind of fully waded into the indie publishing world, why not sign up for your free account simply by going to draft2digital.com. Megan, thanks again for your time today. Hang out with me in the green room backstage for a bit so we can recap this conversation. For everybody else, thanks once again for hanging out with us this week. We so appreciate you being a part of our community. We'll hope that you'll join us again next week. But until then, we will see you. Have a great week and weekend, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draft2digital.com.